In this lesson, Formatting Text and Paragraphs, we'll learn how to apply character formatting, how to align text using tabs, how to display text as list items, how to control paragraph layout, apply borders and shading, apply styles, and how to manage our formatting. In this topic, we'll apply character formatting. We'll learn about fonts, the mini toolbar, and something called the Format Painter. On the Home tab in Microsoft Word, you have a group called Fonts, and in that area, one of the biggest things you can do is change your font style. A font is a type style, a style for your text. So notice here I'm showing a variety of font styles, different sizes and different effects. Here we have some underlined text, some bold text, a font called Calibri at a 16-point size. Fonts are very critical to the look and feel of your document, and there are certain fonts that are good for print, there are other fonts that are reserved for web, and you need to do a little research. For instance, you should know the difference between serif fonts and sans serif fonts. So that discussion is outside of the scope of this class, but those are things you might want to research so that you're comfortable with why you should choose certain fonts for your document. In Microsoft Word, when I select text, so for instance, let's say I have a phrase, the happy face, and I have selected the word happy by double-clicking on it. As soon as I do that, the mini toolbar will appear next to the selected text. Word assumes that if I've selected that text, then I'm probably wanting to make some character level formatting changes, and rather than having to go up on the ribbon at the top of the screen and make those changes, it gives me the most commonly used features in a mini toolbar. So for instance, I could bold the word happy, italicize, change the font right here from the mini toolbar. One of the nicest features in Microsoft Word when you're formatting your document is the Format Painter. It looks like a little paintbrush inside of the clipboard group on the Home tab. Now the way this works, let's say I have the word happy in my document, and I've taken the time to make the word happy bold, the color red, and let's say underlined. Those three things. And I like that combination. And there's other text inside of the document that I would like to look just that way. Instead of having to select that text and bold it and turn it red and underline it, I can just highlight happy, click on my Format Painter, which basically sucks up all of the formatting that the word happy has, highlight my new word, let's say sad, and it will immediately paint on all of this formatting. So that's why it's called the Format Painter. It's painting formatting onto other areas of your document. If I double click on the Format Painter, it becomes sticky, meaning it'll hold so that I can go paint, 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 lots of text all at one time. In this topic, we're going to align text using tabs. We'll look at how to set tab stops, and we'll look at the Tabs Dialog Box. The first thing you need to know about setting tab stops is that you need to see your ruler in your document in order to do that. And to show your ruler, you go to the View tab and check the box next to Ruler. Okay, so the ruler will then appear at the top of your Word document. Setting tab stops at that point is just a case of clicking on the ruler where you would like the tab stop to appear. Notice here's a tab stop and here's a tab stop. It looks almost like a little black L. Now then I can take those tab stops and I can drag them left and right and place them where I want them on the ruler. I can also double click on those tab stops to get a tab dialog box that gives me all kinds of options related to those tabs. For instance, these two tabs are left aligned tabs, meaning the column that they're controlling, right here, is left aligned on the tab. If I were to modify one of these to, let's say, a right aligned tab, it would shift to all of this text being right aligned on the tab. Okay. Now, the reason we set tabs, of course, is so that down in our document we can type a tab and have it flip right to the next tab stop. So as someone were typing this, they typed Monday, they hit tab, and boom, it tabs underneath the next stop. They type 12 to 1, hit tab again, and type Mary Prioletti. When you double-click on a tab stop on the ruler, you're taken to the Tabs Dialog Box. Now, in this Tabs Dialog Box, you can also set additional tabs if you want to. You can pick a location and hit the Set button and add a tab, but you can also highlight any existing tabs. There are none listed in this particular box, but if you had tabs, they would be listed here. You can select them and change their alignment, or add what we call dot leaders. If you've ever seen a list that looks like this, Monday, ... and some information here, Tuesday, ... some information. Okay, that's called a dot leader, and that is leading up to a tab stop here. In this topic, we're going to display text as list items. We'll look at both bullet and numbered lists. On the Home tab, in the group called Paragraph, you have both the capacity to create bulleted lists and numbered lists. Bulleted lists have a graphic or symbol to the left of the list item, and numbered lists use numbers. It's for ordered situations where you want to specify the order of something. You can modify the style of both your bullets and your numbers. For instance, you could have stars here. You could even have images if you have pictures that you want to the left. And your numbers can be ordinal numbers like you see here, or it could be Roman numerals. It could be the alphabet. Okay, so you have a lot of different options, but you typically use numbered lists when order of your list items is important to the reader. In this topic, we're going to control paragraph layout. We'll look specifically at indenting our paragraphs. Microsoft Word allows you to set indentations for your paragraphs. It gives you a quick way to do this from the Home tab in the Paragraph group, but the most control is if you go up to View on your tabs and turn on your ruler. The ruler gives you some really quick and handy ways to affect your indentations. The ruler has essentially a little down pointing triangle, an up pointing triangle, and a square below that. Now, notice these indents down here in these paragraphs. These are what we call a hanging indent, where the first line of the paragraph is out to the left, but they've indented all the lines thereafter. The way this would look on the ruler would be this bottom arrow and square would be over to the right. If I wanted to change the indent of the first line of the paragraph, I would grab this down pointing triangle and drag it to the right. So I'm telling you, this is the easiest way to control your indenting. You select your paragraph that you want to modify and then drag those triangles according to what you want to indent. In this topic, we're going to apply borders and shading. We'll look at page versus paragraph borders, how to apply shading, especially to bordered text, and we'll look at the borders and shading dialog box. Borders are basically lines that surround something. Okay, so if something in Word has a border, it's got some visible line around it, you can modify the look of the borders, the colors, the thickness. There are two basic types of borders you can add. A page border that goes around the entire page, and then a paragraph level border which goes around whatever text you have selected. So in this case, somebody selected our bulleted list 1 through 4 and chose to turn on paragraph borders. Now again, in this situation, these borders are rather plain, thin black lines, but borders can be pretty spiffy. You can add color and thickness and turn on a pattern for them, so they can be much more alive than what you're seeing here. Another option you have once you have applied borders to text is to shade that bordered text. So here inside of my border area, I've turned on a gray shading. Now again, you have control over this shading, how dense it is, what kind of pattern there is, what color it is. So shading is just as flexible as borders in terms of formatting. Borders and shading are both controlled in the same dialog box. Essentially, whatever information you have selected back on your document, when you go into the borders and shading dialog box, will be impacted by your choices here. So if I had a paragraph selected, let's say, okay, a few lines in my paragraph, and I go to the borders and shading box, and I turn on box style, I'm going to get a box around this paragraph. If I choose the style dashed lines, it'll turn my box into a dashed box, right? Or I can go over here to the right and I can be very specific. I can click to turn off the top border, click to turn off the bottom border, and then all I would have are two dashed sides to my paragraph. If I want to change the shading, I flip over to the Shading tab and I can control the color of the shading, the density. If I want to affect a border around my entire page, I click on the Page Border tab. So all of your borders and shading options are handled from the same dialog box. In this topic, we'll learn how to apply styles. We'll apply styles to text, we'll look at the Quick Styles gallery, and we'll talk about the Styles task pane. A word style is a collection of appearance settings that can be applied to text with a single click. Using styles is faster than applying formatting options individually, and it ensures consistency of formatting throughout your document. A style might include text formatting, such as font typefaces or colors or effects, or paragraph level formatting, like line spacing and borders and shading. You can use built-in styles, or you can create your own custom styles. So for instance, in this example, I have a style called Heading 1. Looks like it's got some blue. It's a serif type style. Looks kind of like Times New Roman, maybe size 24. And that whole combination of choices makes up this look. If I like that and I've saved it as my Heading 1 style, then somewhere else in my document, if I select text and apply the Heading 1 style, it's going to immediately apply all this formatting. It's kind of almost like Format Painter. You know, we learned about Format Painter, where you can paint formatting from one place to another. It's just that it's stored in a list, a gallery of styles. Now that you understand what a style is, you'll relate then to the Quick Styles gallery, which is a gallery of choices of styles that exist for you to apply to your current document. Again, you have that live preview here. As I roll around this gallery of styles, whatever text I have highlighted down in my document is going to show me what that text would look like if I apply that particular style. From this same Quick Styles gallery dropdown, I have the ability to create my own style, clear the existing formatting that I selected, or apply multiple styles. On the Home tab, in the Styles group, if you click the arrow in the lower right-hand corner, the dialog box launcher, you will launch this box that you're seeing here called the Styles task pane. It comes up in the right-hand side of your screen by default. And what it does is it shows you all of the styles that are part of your document. It gives you a chance to select those, preview what they look like. But the key here is there are some boxes down in the lower left that give you a chance to go in and make some modifications to these styles. Essentially, all the options you would want related to style management is in this Styles task pane. In this topic, we're going to learn how to manage our formatting. We're going to look at something called Reveal Formatting. You can use the Reveal Formatting task pane to help you identify specific formatting elements that are applied to a text selection, including fonts, alignments, indents, margins, and layouts. You can also compare the formatting of one section to that of another. You can select text with similar formatting, and you can apply or clear formatting. Now, how do you get this Reveal Formatting task pane to appear? Well, if you select the Style Inspector button in the Styles task pane, then select the Reveal Formatting button, this will appear. However, there's an easier way. Just hit Shift F1 at any time, and the Reveal Formatting task pane will appear. In this lesson, Formatting Text and Paragraphs, we learned how to apply character formatting, how to align text using tabs, how to display text as list items, how to control paragraph layout and apply borders and shading, and we learned about styles and how to manage our formatting.